Hi, I'm Daniel,
Hi, I'm Sammy.
and this is our experience with renting here in Brazil. We're actually currently in our second place. We just checked out 2.5 weeks ago of our place in Saquarema in Rio, and so we're going to talk about that from the time that we found it online to the time we checked out, and then talk about how it is here in Florianopolis with our new rental. So to start off with, we were actually visiting Rio, and we went to go visit the town of Saquarema in the state of Rio, and we liked it and we wanted to find a place, so we went online. Sammy did, she did all this, and we went on the most popular website on Viva.I, and we didn't find anything that we liked on there, so she went on Google and found a smaller company called AP Movies, which is the company that we rented through. And so we went and we found a house that we really liked. We went and saw the house. The realtor there picked us up and took us to the house, and we kind of talked about what it would be like to rent. And at first he seemed like a nice guy, and then he asked me, he found out that I didn't have a CPF, which is very easy. I've talked about that in another video. But after we talked about the rent seemed like, it's like $500 a month, less than $500 a month for a 3-bedroom house near the beach. So I was super happy. But then I could kind of get the sense that he was a little shady. And then he told us that for our deposit, we needed 3 months of rent. And it's not like in the US where it applies as first and last month, and then 1 month for a security deposit. It was like 3 months solely for the security deposit.
Yeah,
right?
which can be normal. But it's also normal that you have options, not necessarily just the deposit. But he was very adamant on just the deposit.
Yeah. That's the thing that was pretty shady. Was there was another option that we had, and so we were asking him about it, and he just shot it down like, "Oh, you don't want to do that. It's like where you pay like a percentage each month towards your rent." And then he basically made it sound like it was the worst deal ever. So we didn't really know any better, and it was my fault. But we wanted the house, and so anyway, we decided to rent that place because it was really the only one available that we really liked. And so 2 months later, we had actually started paying put our deposit down in May, but we were still in Manaus, so we moved in a month after our rent had initially started. And that part's really nice, is you don't pay for your for the month of rent beforehand. You actually move into your place and pay for after 1 month of being there. That's when
And that's just our experiences. There might be places that charge in advance.
But that's all we've known. So that part was great. But yeah, we arrived. We met him at our rental, and we got he was nice. Gave us the keys. He had told us beforehand, like, "Oh, you might need to do a little light cleaning," and that was a little weird because we thought that if we're moving into a rental, it should be clean. And he said, "No, it's nothing major." And then we got there, and there's dust everywhere.
Cockroaches.
There's dead cockroaches. The fridge was like, it wasn't just dirty. It had like stains on it, like from people spilling chocolate and coffee or milk, and it was kind of gross. And then our rooms it wasn't like, Sammy had just had surgery, so we weren't in a position, and this was definitely my fault. We were kind of really excited just to have the place, that we didn't document any of this. We just kind of cleaned it up. My parents were visiting, my mom and my dad all helped get it all clean. And then he left. That's another part that's really nice. At least in our 2 places that we've rented, they come fully furnished, and it was kind of a good and a bad thing because we had a couch, we had the TV, and then we had the beds and stuff. But a lot of this stuff, these really old sheets and really old dishes. Like we had dishes for like a family of 30.
Yeah,
and
with horrible quality and with a bunch of stains.
Some of them had mold on them, some of them, and so we just wanted to get rid of them. So anyway, after moving in and realizing, like, going through all the cabinets and stuff and being like, okay, we don't want hardly any of this stuff. I mean, the forks and the knives were great, but there was just so many dishes that we were like, what do we do with this? We don't, like 1,000 cups that we're never going to use. So we asked the realtor had asked us to come do, and this is the most important thing. If you get nothing out of this video, the Veishtaria is where when you move into a place, this is supposed to be done by a company, like a professional company, not the realtor himself. You come into the place and you have 5 days or however much time they allot for you to basically give your overall, go walk through the house, make sure if there's a leak, if there's anything, you have to notify them within this certain time period. They come out and fix it. And then basically the houses that you return it in should be in the condition after the Veishtaria. So he had told us that he was going to do the Veishtaria, but I know
that was almost a month after.
Yeah, it was a long time after. This was not within the first few days. And we couldn't do it the day that he wanted to. So we asked him to come back, and he said, "Okay, that's fine." Yeah. And we were wanting him to get some of all of the dishes and stuff that we didn't want. And the mattresses. There was a lot of stuff that we were like, we just want to get rid of this. We don't want any of this stuff. And he was like, "Oh no, you have to keep it." He was very adamant that we couldn't get rid of any of the stuff inside the house. And then anyway, we asked him to do the Veishtaria twice. And both times he had told us that he couldn't do it. So we didn't even think, I didn't even know what a Veishtaria was. And so we just kind of let it go by. So anyway, we have that was fine. It was like, he wasn't exactly, we didn't exactly like him, but we were like, okay, we have our house. We're not going to worry about it. Our neighborhood, these are the things that we really did like. We loved the little complex that we lived in was really nice. Our neighbors were nice and friendly. It was in an area that was close to the beach, so we liked that. And then, hold on, let me review my notes. One of the things that happened pretty regularly was our water would run out, like at least once a week, which wasn't the worst thing in the world, but you'd get in the shower and there wouldn't be any water, so we had to go downstairs, and outside there's this simple flick of a switch. Yes. Leave it on for 20 minutes, and then your water's back on. That was regular. Yeah, that was that happened all the time actually. Power went out a few times, but it was never spoiled the food, so that wasn't even an issue. One thing, when we first moved in, I should have known this because I lived in Manaus for 3 months before, but it never really registered to me because I was staying with her family, but there was no dishwasher when I got in, and I was like, oh man, that's different, because it takes a long time to wash. If you're not used to it, to wash all the dishes by hand. It's a time for reflection. Yeah. So like triple the amount of time that it normally takes to do dishes, maybe even more. And there's no garbage disposal, so a lot of people will keep their garbages like a little garbage can on top as close to the sink. Yeah, close to the sink as a replacement garbage can. And there was no dryer. The no dryer was not a big deal at all because we just hang the clothes up on the line, and since we lived in a place where it was warm, 95 degrees almost every day, the clothes get dry in a few hours. I'm trying to think. And then, I'm not going to cover the whole, we enjoyed our house. Neighborhood, people, everything was fine. Oh, another thing, there's no fans in the bathroom, which makes a huge difference because we had 3 bathrooms, 2 showers. And one of the bathrooms had a 9-foot ceiling. And this comes into play. So one of the bathrooms had an 8-foot ceiling. The other one had a 9-foot ceiling. The one with the 9-foot ceiling, the bathroom looked pretty much the same when we checked out as it did when we moved in. The bathroom with the 8-foot ceiling was disgusting. It was covered in mold. We actually had to repaint it because it was so nasty. Because even though they leave a window in the bathroom, but it really didn't do much to protect from the mold. Like the bathroom was pretty gross by the time we left. So it's also a tiny little window. Yeah, the window. Yeah, it wasn't exactly getting all of the steam and the condensation out of the bathroom. So that made a huge difference. There's no closets. We had like a really big wardrobe. It was really nice. It was basically the equivalent of a closet in the corner of our room. But yeah, there's no closets. So the storage space is pretty limited. There's no pantry. There's no place to. Yeah, the storage is all kind of like outside
you have a bunch of cabinets in the kitchen,
Yeah.
Like sometimes, of course, in our case, yes, that's what happened, but not really a pantry or a little put your stuff here type of place.
Yeah. So everything that any big items I mean, we didn't have a car, so we had a garage, which was nice.
Yeah.
So stored stuff there. Outside, in the laundry room, the outside laundry room, and I mean, we had an extra bedroom. We had 3 bedrooms, so we had 2 extra bedrooms, so we could put stuff there. But yeah, storage space is a little bit different. It was pretty limited, and so okay, now coming to the checkout process. This is fun. So
Yeah.
we were leaving. Our rent was up May 15th, and we had already got our flights. We'd already got our apartment in Florianopolis, and we got our flights from Rio for May the 13th. So we asked the realtor to come 2 weeks in advance, just because we wanted to make sure that he could tell us what we needed to fix. We could fix it and then get our deposit back, because we still had our 3 months of deposit. So he came the first day. This was like 4, I think he came 4 different times. So the first time he came, he walked through, pretty much said everything looked good except for the walls he claimed were different than when we got there. There was like a drip that he claimed was from either like a water leak, or he didn't really know, but it was basically like
before you keep going, just talk about the water stuff that you said you were gonna mention.
Oh yeah, so all right, so on that point, like with
The water.
him claiming that it was a water leak. The water, there's a huge water container where we get our water from, that's in the attic of the house. So I'd never been up in the attic, but anyway, so basically he was claiming that there must have been a pipe leak or something. If you leave the water running for too long, like he had claimed that we might have done, it might run off into the sides of the walls, even though the ceiling was fine. It didn't make any sense. But anyway, yeah, so you have the water. I don't know if it's in every house, but at least the one that we rented, the water was in the attic. So,
Does it, and then keep going.
oh, anyway, yeah, so he told us that, and this is my fault. I don't speak enough Portuguese. Like, I can understand him, but a little bit, but this was all, he was telling all this to her, and then she would have to relay it to me. And so we were like, no, it was like this when we moved in. And so anyway, he came back, and this time he came with a painter, and the painter walked around. This guy, he was a snake oil salesman, and that's being mean to snake oil and their salesmen, because this guy was, it got progressively worse. Like, at first I was like, okay, we got the house like this, but whatever. You can bring your painter, and he can come give a look. So the painter comes and tells us, basically just agrees with everything the realtor says, and then tells us it's going to cost, the cost of labor and paint would have basically been the amount that we wouldn't have gotten any deposit back. So we were like, no way we're doing this.
And on his first visit, he has said, even after looking at everything, he said, okay, you have to do some cleaning, but it's not gonna be much. I can bring my painter here, and then he can just see what he has to do, but it wouldn't cost much for that. And then second visit, it was already like the price of a new house or something. Yeah,
it was. Yeah, we were basically gonna update the whole house for him. I'm sure the owner would have been stoked if we would have done that. So we told him no, and then now we were starting to get like worried / mad, because it's frustrating, because they still have your money, and we knew we were checking out early. And the third time he came with a
realtor friend of his.
No, this one was like for the person that was gonna get up and check the water. It was like he said he was gonna bring an engineer or something. So I went up in the attic, because I was like, F this. I really didn't trust him at this point, because we were thinking, when he told us, oh, it's not gonna be much, we were thinking, okay, it's gonna be like, in Brazilian reais, it's gonna be like a couple hundred reais for us to fix all this, because we had not done any damage to the walls, we hadn't done anything to the house.
If you just read about it, any water leaking in the house, like that is not caused by you leaving the sink open to whatever flooded place, it's not really the renter's fault. But he was making it sound like it was.
Exactly. And we knew, like I had told Sammy even from the very beginning, I was like, the walls look kind of weird. It looks like there was like
dripping down.
Yeah, like dripping of some sort down the wall.
But anyway, it wasn't the water leaking.
No. Yeah, so I went up in the attic and I checked. I walked all the way, and then we had two separate painters come, because I'm not a professional, but I know, I have common sense. The entire attic area was dry. The water tank wasn't leaked. There was no pipe leaking. There was nothing that indicated like, oh, there was a leak.
Signs of leaking on the
Yeah, and
ceiling.
the ceilings would be. It's not like the walls would just have like all of the water would have dripped solely, like skipped the ceiling and gone all the way down to the walls. So I went up there to check, and then we went up with the two painters, and they said the same thing. They're like, no. And then they kind of confirmed like, oh, this looks like someone who was doing
either a poor paint job, like using a poor paint quality, or the spraying like a little bug.
Yeah, it was very and it was like, as you look closer, it's not like I paid that close attention, but now I was looking at everything. It was just like a bad paint job. If you looked in the corners, there was just like where they don't where they're not careful and they don't finish it out. The paint had all just like balled up. So he came back with this guy, and I was pretty pissed at this point. I was like, I don't trust this guy to save my life. I mean, I'm gonna go up there. I went up in the attic with the guy he brought, which the guy was honest. I was up there with him, but he was like, no, it's dry. There's no. And then the realtor, and mind you, he's saying, so my sister-in-law was awesome, and she translated basically our little feud back and forth. Yeah, and Sammy didn't want to be any part of it, which I understand, because he was trying to take full advantage of the fact that I didn't really know what he was saying, and then Sammy was too nice to really go back.
I was actually nervous too.
Yeah, and I was like, F this guy. There's no way I'm letting him do this. So after his engineer, whoever it was, went up and checked the water, he came down, and then he tried pointing at the wall and, oh, what's this? And you could tell he was basically kind of trying to convince him that it was some kind of water leak. Anyway, we went back and forth, and I was like, I'm not paying for you to paint, for him to update his house. And then the garage, he had pointed out that there were marks on the wall, so we told him, like, we'll fix all that. So anyway,
yeah, we knew that wasn't us.
He eventually leaves, and then he tells us that I said, before he left, I said, I want to talk to the owner. He was doing the whole, oh, I just represent the owner. So I was like, okay, I want to talk to the owner then, because I want to get this straightened out, because I know what you're trying to do. So I told after my wife, this is when we found out about the Veishtaria. She's like, he never did this Veishtaria, because you're supposed to have it signed, and you're supposed to have the whole 9 yards. You're supposed to go through every on the checklist, every little detail of the house. And so I texted the landlord, and I just said, hey, your realtor never did this. And he didn't respond, but he told the realtor, and the realtor texted me and was all mad. But I was like, I'm not gonna let you take advantage of us. So anyway, there was a lot of back and forth, and then finally we hired a painter, because we were like, we don't want to have any problems. And we even paid. We had a chair that I had broken when we first got there, so we bought two new ones to replace, because we couldn't find a single. Anyway, so we hired a painter to come out, and he painted the entire garage, and then the area behind the garage, the laundry area. There were tiny little chips that I had to fix with some plaster, and he painted a column. He painted basically the entire front side of the house, like the lower part, even, and a lot of stuff that we had nothing to do with, like even the ceiling. There was, from the condensation from the water, from how much it rains in the area. So we did all that, and then I texted him. He countered with, instead of having to pay for the whole house, if we just leave an 18-liter thing of paint and something else,
and then two smaller ones. Yeah,
two smaller ones. Which, I mean, it wasn't that bad, but I refused, and I'm just stubborn. But I was like, I'm not paying for this guy for anything, especially after he's basically admitted that he lied, and then he was just trying to go back and just trying to get some free paint from him.
Actually, he tried to tell us that we lied.
Yeah.
It's like, I did the Veishtaria. He's like, I know you did.
Yeah, he claimed to have done the Veishtaria, so he sent us a page for the Veishtaria, and it's the page before it tells you, there's no signatures in anything. Yeah. It's the page.
Just a bunch of words typed in. There's like, this is the Veishtaria, I sent it to you. It was like, yeah. you said that you were gonna come here, and I have the messages where he's like, oh, I forgot to do the vistoria. He says that. I was like, okay, we can schedule a date, and then we did that. But then we couldn't do it on that day, and I was like, oh, can we reschedule it? Okay, fine. And then we tried to reschedule like twice, us and then. But then everybody just dropped it. And
yeah, so and then after he claimed to have done that, I think he just started backing up, like, and I told him, I was like, you claim, or you said you were going to do the Veishtaria or whatever, and we asked you to come those 2 separate times, and you never did. And then finally, I said, this is, we painted, this is what we've done, we've painted this, and that's our final offer or whatever. And so he just kind of backed off. And then the final day, the day before we moved out, he came and collected the keys. There was no more talk of the pain or anything. I don't know if he was scared or if, like, because that's kind of a pretty big mess up that he didn't do the Veishtaria. And since I told the owner, I have no idea if he told him, like, hey, whatever. But we gave him the keys and then checked out. We were like, we just want to be done with this. And of course, we wanted a deposit back too. And so we've moved to Florianopolis at this point, and I texted him. I was like, hey, if you can just, I didn't want to, I'm not going to, like, try to start a war, but I was like, oh, if you can just send us our, our final bills and then the deposit. And so that, after like a week and a half, I was like, okay, this is taking way too long. He's like, oh, as soon as the owner gets the deposit, or as soon as he gets the bills, he'll send them to me, and then we'll send your deposit. And then finally, wow, it was like 4 or 5 days ago, he just sent us the deposit. He was like, oh, it should be in your account. And it was close to what we should have gotten back. It wasn't like, it was like $50 less, which is still annoying. I mean, we're not gonna like start another battle because of it, but it was really annoying when he sent us the final checkout saying that the house was dirtier than when, like, we made the house look like it, like tip-top shape. Like, I would put it on if you were gonna put it on the market to sell, it was like in that kind of condition. And it wasn't in the same condition as when we got there, but whatever. It was a good lesson, because I mean, even though he was the most obnoxious realtor in the world, he prepared us for if you ever encounter somebody like this where you just don't trust them with your gut, and especially if there's these little things, like now that you know about a Veishtaria and all that stuff, you've been warned, or you've been prepared. You're prepared.
And you can ask, like, on this comment session, please just ask if you have any doubts that he can help you with.
All right, so that was our experience renting in the state of Rio, and now that we live in Florianopolis, it's really nice because we can say that it was like a complete one. Yeah, it was like a 180. So when we went, and we knew we wanted to move to Florianopolis, so we actually found our place on Viva Real. I think it's the biggest website or rental website for houses in Brazil. And we contacted she contacted the realtor, and she was awesome. She actually FaceTimed us twice. You can talk about this.
She FaceTimed us twice, went over all the details in the house, showed us pictures, showed us the things they had, like little utensils and everything, and said that if we didn't want any of those things, we should just tell her that she would come pick it up. And she had, of course, she works for a company, and they had this team of qualified professionals that are, what is the word for that? Like, capable? Not capable, but they're allowed to do the Veishtaria, this walkthrough, where they show you every little detail of the house. Oh, this is good, this is not in good conditions, this is in perfect conditions, this has been in horrible conditions, and they show you like pictures and details. And she also gives us 5 days as soon as we got here. We also signed the contract without seeing the house in person. So we get here, and she says that we have 5 days after we signed the Veishtaria. We got her on Thursday. We signed the Veishtaria on Friday, and she said that starting on Friday we'll have 5 days to check the details of the house, what was on the Veishtaria, and say if we didn't agree with something, if we found something different, something that was damaged. We just wanted to point that out. So.
Oh yeah, and we found there was a little leak in the main bathroom in the sink, and a guy came out the next day and fixed it, which was awesome.
Also
so
the lights.
Yeah, there was a problem with the lights. He fixed that too. And in our contract, we didn't have the same. So our deposit, we didn't have a deposit at all. It's 10% of our rent. So our rent is whatever, and then we pay 10% of it each month for it's like an insurance policy for the bank or to the company.
Yeah, because they are assuming like the risks of.
Yeah, so when we check out, we'll have to, if we have done like damage to the walls or anything, obviously we've already done the Veishtaria, so we know that they'll at least, it'll be like an honest, and so, and we didn't have to, for this one as well, we didn't have to pay for the,
first month.
For the first month. We haven't even paid rent yet. So we've been here for almost 3 weeks, and we pay rent in a week, I think. Yeah. So it's been a way different experience. I mean, the realtor, I think it really depends on the company you go with, maybe.
Yeah.
We've only done 2, so it's not a diss on AP Movies, but it is definitely a diss on the realtor that we had it wasn't our realtor, but the realtor in Rio. He sucked, and this lady was awesome. She's answered us on so many different things. Like since we've moved in, we've had questions about internet, questions about, and then I had to get rid of, there was a few other things, like some books and stuff that they had left, and the syndica, the lady who's it's like the HOA person here, I just took them up to her, where she lived, and she took them, so. Yeah, so.
Just so far she's been very transparent and given us that feeling of, okay, we can trust this person, is not gonna try and take advantage of whatever.
Yeah.
Just being honest, and if something is our fault, and it's our fault. But.
So, that's our experience renting here in Brazil, and if you guys if you've rented in Brazil and you've had a different experience, I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about that, but it's too bad because we really liked our place in Saquarema. It's not like we have nothing. I mean, I can't wait to go back and visit. That was just our, our experience.
With the company.
Yeah. So.
Nothing else to say.
Yeah, so I hope you guys have learned a lesson. Always make sure and do your Veishtaria, like document everything when you move in.
Yeah, and read about the laws in Brazil.
Yeah.
Because it's a little different.
Yeah. So. All right.